No phones allowed at work, tell them to call me directly. I work in healthcare where phones are not to be used while on the floor caring for patients etc., for privacy/WHS reasons, which is fine and understandable. Most of us have our phones on us or in the break room, and don't use them unless on break or away from patient care areas. None of us check our phones while busy, and if they do, we'll always get called out for it by other staff. We were all recently in a meeting where we were told we are no longer allowed to have our phones on us, as it is a distraction and against policy, meaning not to be used unless we are out of the unit or off hospital grounds. A few people piped up and said they had young kids in care where their phone was the direct communication for the careers, or there are issues at home that they needed to have their phone to have quick contact if needed, even if it was left in their handbag and could be checked on breaks. Not only that, but we have a half-hour unpaid lunch break where we should be able to use our phones as we see fit, but this was also denied as it's still in a healthcare setting and could cause WHS issues. Now I know working in healthcare and personal mobile phones don't mix as it really is against policy, however the issue with denying us complete access was a total overreaction. The issues with requiring quick and direct contact with home or other outside work contacts was brushed off, and we were told if the issues were that bad at home, we shouldn't be at work. Many people were a bit taken aback by the saying a lot of the home issues are resolved by a quick text back, and not allowing us access to our phones while at work was a bit unreasonable. Our manager said if that is the case, we can give people her direct work number and for contact to go through her, and she will relay the message to us or give the phone to us to talk to whoever is calling. So, cue malicious compliance. We all gave us at home/spouses/carers/schools/etc. the direct work line to call for any reason if they are unable to get in contact with us directly, and the phone started ringing continuously. First was a lady whose husband needed approval for a big financial decision at home. The next was a vet calling to tell a coworker their dog needed to be put down. I got a call from my children's daycare saying my son had been bitten and was bleeding, mandatory reporting policy. There were several other phone calls within the span of a few hours, with my manager running to find us to relay messages or pull us off the floor so we could speak to the callers, wasting more time than if we were allowed to shoot through a quick text or take a quick phone call while on our breaks. The next day we were told we can have access to our phones while on break and to please tell our home contacts to stop calling the manager's phone. It took a few days for everyone to get the message, meaning there were still many unnecessary calls coming through, but it made it obvious that the need for communication lines to be open at home was important. Now to the comments. I think those last phone calls that came through were necessary, sort of the last taps of the hammer on the nails in the lid of that coffin. What a dumb idea that was. How could running everything through one person ever be efficient? Also, it violates the employee's privacy. Yeah, there's no way this was legal. That manager dodged a massive bullet by dropping the policy before the courts got involved. I can scarcely imagine the damages that an employee could claim under the right circumstances here. Info: what is WHS? I'm UK-based healthcare and can have my phone with me so long as it's on silent. OP replied: workplace health and safety. Has to do with privacy etc., not just for staff but for patients too, though none of us were using our phones while with patients or on the floor working. Is this one of those things where one person used their phone inappropriately and so they came up with a draconian policy rather than chastise the one offender? Happened at the warehouse I worked in. I was a union organizer at the sorting facility for that delivery company with the brown uniforms. Our sorting warehouse passed this no cell phone rule. I had guys who ladies were going to go into labor any minute, grandparents with cancer, that kind of stuff. Management wouldn't budge. This crap came to screeching halt when the guy who missed his little kid's opportunity to get a kidney transplant find out that the sub stopped passing on messages because productivity. Guy got arrested after he took a tire iron to the sub's face. The local and the shift were so outraged that they threatened to walk out en masse after trashing all the sorting equipment. And after explaining what went on to the local, Our press called the warehouse boss and told him that he was gonna do a press release with our media spokesperson and was gonna cover our legal expenses. The policy ended that day. Please tell me the child didn't miss out on a viable kidney because of this policy. I truly hope you meant the dad wasn't there for the transplant and not that it didn't happen. Regardless, tire iron to the supervisor's face was an appropriate and understandable reaction, words I never thought I'd say. Kid missed that one, but was still at the top of the transplant list, so he got another one a few months later. I've had more than one boss in completely different industries where you weren't allowed to check your phone at work at all. One of them also forbid you to leave for lunch, and it was Monday to Saturday 7 to 7, so there was no possible way to take care of anything personal. It was like they wanted me to actually not exist outside of work. People really are tripping on all that manager power, hey. They simply think that their time is more valuable than yours. It's the most precious commodity in the world. You can't buy it and you can never get it back. Duck them. Absolutely loved this. Not only was it malicious compliance, she actually learned firsthand why cell phones are so important and how many important decisions come in every day. OP replied. My favorite was one of the older lady's husband called to ask what setting to put the dishwasher on, haha. This is hilarious. I don't think it would ever happen at my parents' house though. I don't think my dad even knows how to operate the dishwasher. I kept thinking, man, what did we do before cell phones? But then remembered before cell phones, it was possible to support a family on a single income with a stay-at-home parent that would handle most of that stuff. Excellent MC. OP replied. That's the route my boss was taking with her excuse too. Many of us are women and a lot are single parents as well, but as she is an old school nurse, she didn't see how we could be needed so much at home. I even said to a co-worker that my home life is more important than work, so if she kept up her shit I'd cut hours to care for my kids. Q second MC, haha. I once had to duck out of work due to a family emergency. Next day I had a manager say something like, "You do know how to prioritize your personal and professional lives, right?" I bluntly responded, "I'm not sure what you mean. I left early yesterday because..." "Yeah, I do know how to prioritize them. Or are you implying I should care more about my job than my family? Let me know, because if so, that'll be the main focus of my resignation letter." They responded, "Well, I mean, well, yes, of course your family is more important. What I meant was, well, just let me know if you think it'll happen again. It would be nice to have more advanced notice." "Sure thing, I'll tell my sister that next time she needs to give my boss advanced notice before getting rear-ended and going to the hospital." You got it? Suffice it to say that night I went home and wrote up a 2-week notice letter anyway. Figured it was likely that I may need it soon.